Time to make our thumbs a little greener. On today's episode of Wisconsin Wonder Garden, I'm going to run you guys through how our vegetable garden did so far this year and tell you about the different sort of things that we did. If some of you guys recall, in one of my earlier videos, we planted this thing at about 40% more density than we actually should have in an experiment to see how all the plants did and if any of them reacted adversely to that. This is our first planting of the year. We're probably not going to do any late season planting because we just had a beautiful baby girl, which is awesome, but we're just super busy now. I expect until the end of the year, so we just probably won't have enough time to maintain some fall harvest plants. That's okay. We've got a ton of vegetables from the garden so far this year. Let's go take a look at what we've got, and I'll give you my input on everything that we saw throughout the season. So we're going to start off with the broccoli. Being the first here, it gets the most sun. It had absolutely no problem. We harvested a ton of broccoli heads from this, and now as you can see, I'm letting this flower. The reason is that I want to feed the pollinators in this late season because there's not a whole lot of flowering plants out there right now. So I'm letting them grow and flower. You can see a few different stages of flowering here. This is kind of like when it first flowers. Just like that. And then as it gets older, you can see all those seed pods growing the nice seeds. We'll probably harvest some of those seeds and show you guys how to do that. It's really simple, but I figure might as well make a video since I'm going to do it. The broccoli did great. In between these two rows here, it was perfect because we had some kohlrabi, which of course are going to get harvested before the Brussels sprouts. And then the broccoli just kind of stays there all season. As you chop off your broccoli heads, new ones form throughout the year, so that's going to be there all season. So what we had in the middle here was the kohlrabi, which did great. They had just enough sunlight and air movement and oxygen to produce. Hey, that's for the dirt. Oh, thank you. The kohlrabi, long story short, they did good. The Brussels sprouts are doing pretty good. We've got a little bit until harvest yet. The only issues I'm seeing with these ones is this middle plant right here. Let's scoot in there. Yeah, see, those we're not going to get anything out of this year. So at this point, I'm probably going to cut that one out of there because it's really not going to be doing anything and it's not going to give us any vegetables at all. All the other Brussels sprouts, the two on this side and then this one, as you saw before, are doing good. No problems at all. We've got a ton of tomatoes. It's a mess right now because we're kind of at the end of the harvest season. But the tomatoes, the Wisconsin 55s were awesome. The early girls did really good too. And we've got a few dozen tomatoes left on here to harvest before the end of the year. And they just did great. I did a small pruning on them, not a whole lot, but just enough to keep the plants nice and tight. And taking out some of those suckers as I see them, some of the larger ones. Not the best job as I could have done because tomato plants can really take a lot of care. If you want a beautiful tomato plant to produce the best as possible, you will get in there and do some pruning throughout the year. Again, with my wife being pregnant and everything, earlier this year, it was just a busy season. But the tomatoes did great despite being just packed in here. We've got 5 tomato plants in this small area here and they did awesome. I couldn't be any happier with them. What do you got over there? Yeah. Oh, you smashed it?
Yeah.
What are all these?
Grapes.
Great. Yeah. As Sterling just said, the grapes are doing wonderful. As I was saying about the tomatoes, here is just some of what's been harvested over the last 2 weeks. Lots of wonderful, healthy tomatoes. I like tomatoes that are not perfectly round because those are generally going to be healthier for you. Just better varieties overall. These are the Wisconsin 55s. They've got a really sweet yet acidic taste to them. It's a really well-rounded tomato. This is our first time planting the Wisconsin 55s, and really happy with them so far. They're just beautiful tomatoes, and the taste is excellent. Our onions are about ready to harvest. I didn't do anything special with these, just a normal planting. They weren't crowded or anything like this. I just had one line of them going across here. So happy with those this year. If you guys remember, this is our first year where we used a trellis method for the cucumbers, and I was blown away by a few different things. One is the production of cucumbers was much higher, better quality, more cucumbers, and just overall it was so great. I loved having this trellis. And then besides having better cucumbers and more of them, they're easier to harvest because they're just right here. Just reach out, pick them, and you're good. You've got a wonderful cucumber for whatever you might need it for. Always right here in the garden. Cucumbers are awesome. If you've never used a trellising method for your cucumbers, do it next year. I highly recommend it. They did fantastic. I'm never going back. I'm always going to use a trellising method from here on out with those. So all of these dead plants here were our zucchini and acorn squash. The zucchini were thriving and just producing like no other, just like zucchini always does no matter what. I do have to say though that the acorn squash was not as happy with it being so crowded. We only got like 4 or 5 different acorn squash from the one plant this year, so not so hot on those, but the zucchini did great. And here we have the last thing on our list, which was the eggplant. These were a flop. I think it might come down to just soil with these ones. We only got 2 eggplants that were harvestable this season so far. We've got one hanging right there, and then we've harvested 2 of them that we used in some great meals, but this was not so good this year for eggplants. I'm not sure what it was. Normally we don't plant eggplants. Really, this is like only my 3rd or 4th time planting them at all in the garden because I don't really enjoy them very much, but I figured I might as well give them a try. These ones were not so good. It had nothing to do with density of planting or watering or anything like that. I think it's just soil nutrients. Maybe the soil wasn't quite at the pH that they like. Whatever it might be, they didn't do very good. There you have it, guys. In summary, the garden did pretty well overall. With how many vegetables we got out of this little bed, I was so happy. The broccoli did outstanding. The kohlrabi was great. The Brussels sprouts, they might have been a little bit crowded, so they saw some effects from that. Tomatoes did not mind being crowded whatsoever. Cucumbers, I'm always going to trellis from now on. Zucchini were prolific as always. And the eggplants, kind of a flop for this year. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Again, probably no fall season for this vegetable garden this year, but stay tuned as we have a lot of big plans coming up in the garden. Hopefully along this whole fence line back here, maybe if we're lucky, we're gonna get some more garden beds back there strictly for vegetables and fruits here in the garden. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you're all having a great season so far. See you in the next video.